Picture this, the suburban landscape. Imagine a place. It's a world of manicured lawns, two-car garages, and a quiet sense of order. This is suburbia, a landscape often associated with comfort, conformity, and a certain predictable rhythm of life. It's a place where kids go to good schools, play in safe parks, and grow up with a sense of security often taken for granted. But beneath the surface of this seemingly idyllic world, a different story sometimes unfolds. A story of restlessness, of yearning for something more, of a search for identity that clashes with the carefully constructed environment. This is the story of suburban kids who find themselves drawn to a different world. A world often portrayed in stark contrast to their own. The world of the urban, the hood, the streets. The suburbs, for all their advantages, can sometimes feel like a bubble, a place where life's rough edges are smoothed away, and experiences can feel sanitized, predictable. The suburbs, with their emphasis on conformity and material comfort, can sometimes feel like an incubator for a particular kind of adolescent angst. It's not necessarily about lacking material possessions. It's about lacking a sense of purpose, of struggle, of something real and tangible to push against. This feeling can be particularly acute during the formative years, when young people are trying to figure out who they are and where they fit in the world. In a world of predetermined paths and expectations, the desire to break free, to carve out one's own unique identity, can be a powerful motivator. This yearning for something more, something real, often coincides with a growing awareness of the world outside the suburban bubble. Through news, social media, and the ever-present lens of popular culture, suburban youth are exposed to images and narratives of urban life, often filtered through the gritty lens of crime dramas, music videos, and social media feeds. These portrayals, while often exaggerated or sensationalized, can nevertheless hold a powerful allure for young people craving excitement, danger, or a break from the perceived monotony of their own lives. The very things that the suburbs are designed to keep out, crime, poverty, social unrest, become objects of fascination, representing a world of danger and excitement that feels strangely absent from their own sanitized environments. This isn't to romanticize these issues. It's simply to acknowledge the psychological pull of the forbidden, the unknown, the other. Imagine a sonic boom, a shockwave of sound and energy that shatters the quiet complacency of the suburbs. That's what the arrival of hip-hop felt like to many young people growing up in the late 20th century. Born in the streets of the Bronx, hip-hop was more than just music. It was a cultural movement, a raw and unfiltered expression of life on the margins, a voice for the voiceless. And its impact was felt far beyond the concrete jungle of its origins, seeping into the suburban consciousness through boomboxes, MTV, and the sheer force of its cultural gravity. For suburban kids accustomed to the polished sounds of pop radio, hip-hop was a revelation, a blast of raw energy and urban grit that cut through the carefully manicured lawns of their upbringing. The beats were infectious, the lyrics were bold and confrontational, and the attitude was undeniably cool. Here was a genre that didn't shy away from the realities of life. A genre that spoke directly to the alienation, the frustration, and the yearning for something more that many suburban youth felt but couldn't articulate. Hip-hop offered a glimpse into a world that felt both familiar and foreign. a world of concrete playgrounds, graffiti-covered walls, and a social order that seemed to operate by different rules. At its core, hip-hop is about storytelling, about using rhythm and rhyme to paint vivid pictures of life, love, struggle, and survival. The lyrics, often raw and unflinching in their honesty, resonated with suburban kids who felt like their own stories were being overlooked, their own struggles minimized. Here was a genre that spoke directly to the anxieties, frustrations, and aspirations of a generation coming of age in a rapidly changing world, regardless of their zip code. For many suburban youth, hip-hop lyrics provided a language for expressing emotions and experiences they didn't have the words for, a way of articulating the angst, the boredom, the sense of being trapped in a world that didn't understand them. The themes of rebellion against authority, of challenging the status quo, of fighting for your voice to be heard, resonated deeply with young people navigating the complex terrain of adolescence, regardless of their background. It's important to acknowledge that the embrace of hip-hop by suburban youth was not always well received. Critics often dismissed it as noise, as violent, as a corrupting influence on young minds. The suburbs, for all their advantages, can sometimes feel like a gilded cage. Life unfolds at a different pace there, a rhythm often dictated by school calendars, extracurricular activities, and the carefully curated social lives of families. It's a world where success is often measured in material possessions, academic achievements, and adherence to social norms. While this environment provides a sense of security and stability, it can also create a breeding ground for a particular kind of discontent, a pervasive sense of fear of missing out, of FOMO, that fuels the desire for something more, something real. This FOMO isn't necessarily about material possessions. It's about experiences, about feeling like life is happening somewhere else, while they're stuck in a bubble of predictability. The carefully manicured lawns and quiet streets, while offering a sense of safety, can also feel stifling, a stark contrast to the gritty, fast-paced world depicted in the music, movies, and social media feeds that dominate youth culture. The irony is that suburban kids often have access to a wider range of information and entertainment than previous generations. One of the paradoxes of suburban life is that material comfort doesn't necessarily translate into emotional fulfillment. In fact, the abundance of material possessions and opportunities can sometimes mask a deeper sense of emptiness, a lack of purpose that can be difficult for young people to articulate, let alone understand. Growing up with their material needs met, suburban kids may find themselves searching for something more meaningful, a sense of purpose that transcends the acquisition of the latest gadgets or designer labels. The pressure to succeed, often ingrained in suburban culture, can also contribute to this emotional void. The emphasis on good grades, extracurricular achievements, and a clear path to college and career success can leave young people feeling like they're constantly performing, constantly striving to meet external expectations, rather than exploring their own passions and interests. This pressure can create a sense of anxiety and inadequacy, a feeling that they're not living up to their potential, even as they excel in the eyes of their parents and peers. This disconnect between external achievement and internal fulfillment can lead to a search for identity and meaning outside the prescribed paths laid out for them. The relationship between parents and children is complex, shaped by love, expectations, and the inevitable clash of values that arises as young people begin to assert their independence. In the suburbs, where education and upward mobility are often paramount, parents may unwittingly contribute to their children's sense of restlessness by placing immense pressure on them to succeed academically and socially. This pressure, while often well-intentioned, can backfire, leading to rebellion, resentment, and a desire to break free from the mold. The very things that parents work hard to provide, a safe home, a good education, a comfortable life, can sometimes feel stifling to young people yearning for autonomy and a sense of agency. The carefully structured lives of suburban kids, with their schedules filled with extracurricular activities and enrichment programs, can leave little room for unstructured play, exploration, and the kind of risk-taking that is essential for adolescent development. This is not to say that all suburban parents are overbearing, or that all suburban kids feel suffocated. However, the pressure to conform to a certain ideal, to follow a prescribed path to success, can create a sense of rebellion in some young people, a desire to define themselves in opposition to the expectations of their parents and their community. The allure of rebellion when fitting in means breaking out. Rebellion is a natural part of adolescence, a way for young people to assert their independence and test the boundaries of what's acceptable. In the suburbs, where conformity is often the norm, rebellion can take on a particular significance, becoming a way to stand out from the crowd, to declare one's individuality, and to challenge the perceived homogeneity of their surroundings. This desire to break free from the mold, to carve out their own identities, can lead suburban kids to embrace subcultures that seem to offer an alternative to the mainstream, a sense of belonging and acceptance that they may not find in their own communities. The irony is that even rebellion can become a form of conformity, particularly in the age of social media, where trends spread like wildfire and subcultures can be co-opted and commodified with alarming speed. The desire to be different, to stand out from the crowd, can lead to a different kind of homogeneity, as young people flock to embrace the latest trend, whether it's a particular clothing style, musical genre, or online persona. The allure of hip-hop culture, with its roots in rebellion against the status quo, its celebration of individuality, and its raw, unfiltered expression of urban life, can be particularly strong for suburban kids seeking an outlet for their own frustrations and a way to differentiate themselves from the perceived conformity of their surroundings. The case of Eminem, white suburbia's rap icon. No conversation about suburban kids embracing hip-hop would be complete without mentioning Eminem. Emerging from the predominantly white suburbs of Detroit, Eminem, born Marshall Mathers, became a global phenomenon. His music resonating with millions of young people, many of whom came from backgrounds similar to his own. His story, however, is not just about musical success. It's a complex case study in racial dynamics, cultural appropriation, and the search for identity. In a world where the lines between authenticity and imitation are often blurred. Eminem's rise to fame in the late 1990s and early 2000s coincided with a period when hip-hop was becoming increasingly mainstream, its influence seeping into every corner of popular culture. But Eminem's success was unique. Here was a white rapper from the suburbs who could spit rhymes with the best of them. His lyrics raw, angry, and often deeply personal. reflecting the frustrations and anxieties of a generation grappling with identity, social alienation, and the challenges of coming of age in a world that often felt indifferent to their struggles. Eminem's whiteness was both an asset and a point of contention. On the one hand, it allowed him to cross over into markets that were traditionally unreceptive to hip-hop. His music embraced by white suburban kids who saw in him a reflection of their own angst and alienation. From prep school to hip-hop star, the story of Drake. Drake, the Canadian rapper and singer, offers another compelling example of the suburban embrace of hip-hop. Unlike Eminem, Drake didn't rise from the rough streets of Detroit. He came from a middle-class background in Toronto, attending a prestigious arts high school before finding fame as an actor on the teen drama Degrassi, The Next Generation. His journey into the world of hip-hop, however, was not a complete departure from his upbringing. It was an evolution, a fusion of his suburban sensibilities with the rhythms and narratives of a genre that had captivated him since childhood. Drake's music often reflects this duality, the vulnerability and introspection of his suburban upbringing, juxtaposed with the bravado and swagger of hip-hop culture. His lyrics explore themes of love, loss, ambition, and the challenges of navigating fame and fortune, resonating with a generation of young people, grappling with similar emotions and experiences, regardless of their background. Drake's success, like Eminem's, sparked conversations about authenticity and representation. Some critics questioned his toughness, pointing to his privileged upbringing as evidence that he couldn't possibly understand the struggles he rapped about. Others, however, celebrated his versatility and his ability to bridge the gap between the suburbs and the streets. His music, a testament to the universal appeal of hip-hop, and its ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Beyond the individual. The rise of suburban rap. The influence of Eminem and Drake, while significant, is just one facet of a larger trend. The rise of suburban rap as a distinct subgenre within hip-hop. As hip-hop has become increasingly mainstream, its reach extending far beyond its urban roots. A new generation of artists has emerged, their music reflecting the realities and experiences of growing up in the suburbs, with all their complexities and contradictions. This new wave of suburban rappers doesn't necessarily shy away from the themes of struggle and hardship that have long been central to hip-hop. Rather, they recontextualize these themes, exploring the challenges of identity formation, mental health, social alienation, and the pressures of living up to parental and societal expectations in a world where material comfort doesn't always equate to emotional well-being. The music of suburban rap is often characterized by its introspective lyrics, its willingness to delve into the emotional complexities of adolescence, and its sonic experimentation, blending elements of hip-hop with pop, rock, and electronic music, creating a sound that is both familiar and refreshingly unique. The rise of suburban rap challenges the traditional narratives of hip-hop, expanding the boundaries of the genre and creating space for new voices and perspectives. It also reflects the changing demographics of hip-hop's audience, as the genre continues to resonate with young people from all walks of life, regardless of their zip code or socioeconomic status. When worlds collide. The Blackface controversy and hip-hop appropriation. The embrace of hip-hop by suburban youth, while often well-intentioned, has not been without its controversies. One of the most contentious issues is the question of cultural appropriation, particularly when it comes to the adoption of Black culture by non-Black individuals. The Blackface controversy, a recurring theme in discussions about cultural sensitivity, has reared its head in the context of hip-hop, sparking debates about the limits of imitation and the importance of respecting the origins and significance of cultural expressions. Blackface, in its historical context, refers to the practice of white performers darkening their skin and exaggerating their features to portray Black characters, often in a derogatory and dehumanizing manner. While the overt forms of blackface are widely condemned today, more subtle forms of cultural appropriation persist, particularly in the realm of entertainment and fashion. In the context of hip-hop, the blackface controversy arises when non-Black individuals adopt elements of Black culture, such as hairstyles, clothing styles, or mannerisms, in a way that is perceived as stereotypical, disrespectful, or exploitative. The concern is that these appropriations often strip these cultural expressions of their historical context and meaning, reducing them to mere fashion statements or trends, while ignoring the struggles and contributions of the communities from which they originated. Lost in translation when suburban slang misses the mark. Language is a powerful tool for communication, identity formation, and cultural expression. It's also constantly evolving, adapting to new contexts and influences. In the realm of hip-hop, language plays a particularly important role, with slang, wordplay, and regional dialects shaping the genre's unique linguistic landscape. However, when suburban youth adopt and adapt hip-hop slang, the results can sometimes be awkward, cringeworthy, and even offensive, highlighting the challenges of navigating cultural boundaries and the importance of understanding the nuances of language. Hip-hop slang, like any form of slang, is often specific to a particular time, place, and social group. It's a code, a way for insiders to communicate with each other and to distinguish themselves from outsiders. When suburban youth adopt this slang without understanding its origins, context, or underlying meanings, it can lead to misinterpretations, misappropriations, and a general sense of trying too hard. The problem isn't necessarily with suburban kids wanting to use slang or to sound cool. It's with the way in which this slang is often adopted and deployed. The desire to fit in, to be perceived as cool or authentic, can lead some suburban kids to engage in behaviors that are not only inauthentic, but also potentially harmful. When acting hood goes beyond simply adopting certain styles or mannerisms and spills over into risky or illegal activities, it can have serious consequences, both for the individuals involved and for the communities they're attempting to emulate. The allure of the thug life, often romanticized in certain subgenres of hip-hop, can be particularly seductive for suburban kids seeking a sense of danger, excitement, or belonging. The problem is that this romanticized image often bears little resemblance to the realities of life in marginalized communities, where violence, poverty, and systemic racism are daily struggles, not glamorous lifestyles. When suburban kids engage in behaviors that mimic these harmful stereotypes, they're not only perpetuating harmful narratives, but also putting themselves at risk. What might start as a misguided attempt to gain street cred or impress their peers can quickly escalate into situations with real-world consequences. It's important for young people to understand that there's a big difference between appreciating a culture and appropriating it, between respecting the struggles of others and glamorizing them. Acting hood isn't a game. It's a dangerous and disrespectful act that can have serious repercussions. Despite the challenges and potential pitfalls of cultural exchange, it's important to acknowledge the positive and transformative power of music and art to bridge cultural divides and foster understanding between different groups of people. Hip-hop, with its universal themes of love, loss, struggle, and resilience, has the ability to connect with people from all walks of life, regardless of their background, ethnicity, or socioeconomic status. When approached with respect, curiosity, and a willingness to listen and learn, hip-hop can be a powerful tool for breaking down stereotypes and fostering empathy between suburban and urban youth. By engaging with the music, the lyrics, and the stories behind hip-hop culture, young people from different backgrounds can gain a deeper appreciation for each other's experiences and perspectives. Music and art have the ability to create spaces where differences can be celebrated rather than feared, where common ground can be found amidst diverse experiences. By focusing on the shared humanity that connects us, rather than the superficial differences that divide us, we can create a more inclusive and understanding world. Imagine a stage, not the kind with velvet curtains and bright lights, but the everyday stage of life where we all play our parts. For some suburban kids drawn to hip-hop culture, acting hood becomes a performance, a way to project an image that feels more authentic, more edgy, more real than the persona they inhabit in their daily lives. It's a mask they wear, a way to fit in with a certain group to gain acceptance, or to rebel against the perceived sterility and conformity of their suburban upbringing. This performance isn't necessarily malicious or intentionally disrespectful. It often stems from a place of insecurity, a yearning to belong, to be seen as something other than the typical suburban kid. They may adopt the language, the fashion, the mannerisms of hip-hop culture, not out of malice, but out of a misguided attempt to connect with something that feels more real, more raw, more in line with the image they want to project to the world. The problem with this performance is that it's ultimately unsustainable. Like any mask, it can only be worn for so long before it becomes uncomfortable, before the weight of pretending to be someone you're not takes its toll. The more energy these kids invest in maintaining this facade, the further they drift from their true selves, creating a disconnect between who they are and who they pretend to be. The search for identity is a universal human experience, a journey of self-discovery that often begins in adolescence and continues throughout our lives. For suburban kids drawn to hip-hop culture, this search for identity can become intertwined with a quest for authenticity, a yearning for something real, something raw, something that feels more genuine than the carefully curated lives they see around them. This quest for authenticity often leads them to look outside of themselves, to seek validation and belonging in the external world. Whether it's through the adoption of a particular subculture, the pursuit of a certain image, or the accumulation of material possessions. They may gravitate towards hip-hop culture because it represents, in their minds, a world of authenticity, a world where people are unafraid to be themselves, to express their struggles, and to challenge the status quo. The irony is that in their attempt to be more authentic, they often end up feeling more inauthentic, more disconnected from their true selves. The problem is not with hip-hop culture itself, but with the way in which it's often perceived and appropriated by those outside of the culture. by focusing on the outward trappings of hip-hop, the fashion, the slang, the posturing. Suburban kids often miss the deeper essence of the culture, the values of community, resilience, and creative expression that lie at its heart. True authenticity comes from within, from embracing your own unique experiences, perspectives, and values. The desire to belong, to be part of something larger than ourselves, is a fundamental human need. This need for connection and acceptance is deeply ingrained in our psyche, influencing our actions, decisions, and even our sense of self-worth. It is a driving force that shapes our interactions and relationships, pushing us to seek out communities where we feel valued and understood. From the earliest hunter-gatherer societies to modern-day social groups, humans have always sought out connections with others, forming tribes based on shared values, interests, and experiences. These connections provided not only physical safety and resources, but also emotional support and a sense of identity. In ancient times, being part of a tribe was essential for survival, and this instinctual need for belonging has carried through to the present day. For suburban kids who often find themselves navigating the social complexities of adolescence in environments that can feel isolating or homogeneous, the pull of a tribe, a place where they feel seen and accepted, can be particularly strong. Adolescence is a time of self-discovery and identity formation, and the need to find a group where one feels a sense of belonging can be overwhelming. In suburban settings, where diversity may be limited and social norms rigid, finding such a tribe can be challenging. Hip-hop culture, with its emphasis on community, its celebration of individuality within a collective, and its history of providing a voice to the marginalized and the unheard, can hold a particular allure for suburban kids who feel like they don't quite fit in within their own social circles. The raw, unfiltered expression found in hip-hop music and culture resonates with those who feel misunderstood or out of place, offering them a sense of solidarity and a platform to express their own struggles and aspirations. They may be drawn to the music, the fashion, the language of hip-hop because it represents to them a sense of belonging, a place where they can be themselves, or at least a version of themselves that feels more accepted, more understood. The vibrant and dynamic nature of hip-hop culture provides an escape from the monotony of suburban life, allowing these teenagers to explore new identities and express themselves in ways that may not be possible in their everyday environments. The language of hip-hop, with its powerful lyrics and rhythmic beats, speaks to the experiences of those who feel marginalized or overlooked. It offers a sense of empowerment and a way to connect with others who share similar feelings. For suburban kids, participating in hip-hop culture can be a way to bridge the gap between their own experiences and those of others, fostering a sense of community and mutual understanding. The danger, of course, lies in mistaking mimicry for belonging, in confusing the adoption of outward trappings with the genuine connection that comes from shared experiences, values, and struggles. While adopting the fashion and language of hip-hop can provide a temporary sense of belonging, it is not a substitute for the deeper connections that come from truly understanding and sharing in the experiences of others. In confusing the adoption of outward trappings with the genuine connection that comes from shared experiences, values, and struggles, these teenagers may find themselves feeling even more isolated and disconnected. The superficial adoption of a culture without a true understanding of its roots and significance can lead to a sense of inauthenticity and further alienation. True belonging is not about conforming to a set of stereotypes or mimicking the behaviors of others. It's about finding your tribe, a group of people who accept you for who you are, flaws and all. It is about forming genuine connections based on mutual respect, understanding, and shared experiences. This kind of belonging fosters a sense of security and self-worth, allowing individuals to grow and thrive. It's about finding your tribe, a group of people who accept you for who you are, flaws and all. This kind of acceptance allows individuals to be their true selves, without the need to conform to external expectations or stereotypes. It creates a safe space where people can express their thoughts, feelings, and aspirations without fear of judgment or rejection. This search for belonging can be a powerful motivator for personal growth, leading young people to explore new ideas, challenge their own biases, and connect with others in meaningful ways. It encourages them to step out of their comfort zones, engage with diverse perspectives, and develop a deeper understanding of themselves and the world around them. In this journey, they learn the value of empathy, compassion, and genuine human connection, which are essential for building a more inclusive and accepting society. In the often superficial world of adolescence, where social status and peer approval can feel paramount, the pursuit of cool can become an all-consuming obsession. For some suburban kids drawn to hip-hop culture, acting hood becomes a way to tap into a certain aesthetic, a perceived sense of coolness that they associate with the music, the fashion, and the larger-than-life personas of their hip-hop idols. They may spend hours studying the latest fashion trends, meticulously crafting their online personas, and adopting slang and mannerisms that they believe will grant them entry into this exclusive club of cool. They may even engage in risky or reckless behaviors, all in the pursuit of an image, a reputation, a fleeting sense of belonging to a world that they see as more authentic, more edgy, more desirable than their own. The problem with this pursuit of cool is that it's often based on a superficial understanding of hip-hop culture, a fascination with the outward trappings, rather than the deeper values and experiences that underpin the music and the movement. True coolness, like authenticity, cannot be manufactured or imitated. It comes from within, from a place of self-assurance, confidence, and a genuine passion for the things that you love. One of the complexities of understanding the appeal of hip-hop culture to suburban kids lies in the genre's often unflinching portrayal of struggle, hardship, and social injustice. The music, born out of the marginalized communities of the Bronx, has always been a powerful vehicle for expressing the realities of life on the margins, giving voice to the voiceless and challenging the status quo. For suburban kids who may have limited exposure to these realities, the stories told through hip-hop can be both eye-opening and, in a way, seductive. They may find themselves drawn to the raw honesty of the lyrics, the gritty realism of the music videos, the sense of danger and excitement that surrounds the hip-hop lifestyle as it's often portrayed in the media. This fascination, however, can easily morph into romanticization, a blurring of the lines between empathy and appropriation. There's a danger in romanticizing struggle, in viewing the experiences of others through a lens of exoticism or vicarious thrill-seeking. The phenomenon of suburban kids acting hood is rarely about malicious intent. It's often a symptom of deeper insecurities, a reflection of the challenges young people face as they navigate the complex terrain of identity formation, social pressures, and the ever-present desire to fit in. Beneath the surface of the baggy clothes, the adopted slang, and the carefully curated online personas often lie feelings of inadequacy. These young individuals are often grappling with a lack of belonging and a yearning for something more than the perceived superficiality of their suburban surroundings. Some suburban kids may gravitate towards hip-hop culture because they feel invisible or misunderstood in their own environments. They may be searching for a sense of belonging, a tribe where they feel seen and accepted for who they are, or at least for who they want to be. Others may be rebelling against the perceived conformity and materialism of their upbringing, seeking out a subculture that seems to offer a more authentic, more rebellious, more exciting alternative to the world they know. Still, others may be drawn to the power and confidence often projected by hip-hop artists, seeing in them a model for self-expression and a way to overcome their own insecurities. The problem is that this emulation often focuses on the outward trappings of hip-hop culture. The fashion, the slang, the posturing, without a genuine understanding of the deeper values, experiences, and struggles that inform these expressions. It's important to remember that adolescence is a time of immense change and uncertainty, a period when young people are trying to figure out who they are and where they fit in the world. The allure of hip-hop culture can be particularly strong because it offers a sense of identity and community that many suburban kids feel is lacking in their own lives. The music, the fashion, and the attitude all provide a way to stand out, to be different, and to assert one's individuality in a world that often feels homogenized and stifling. However, this adoption of hip-hop culture can also lead to misunderstandings and misrepresentations. The deeper, more meaningful aspects of the culture, its roots in struggle, resistance, and resilience, are often overlooked in favor of more superficial elements. This can result in a shallow and sometimes problematic appropriation of a culture that has significant historical and social importance. It's crucial for young people to understand that hip-hop is not just a style or a trend, but a rich and complex cultural movement with deep roots in the African American experience. By engaging with hip-hop culture in a more thoughtful and respectful way, suburban kids can gain a deeper appreciation for its significance and learn to navigate their own identities with greater authenticity and empathy. Ultimately, the phenomenon of suburban kids acting hood is a reflection of the broader challenges of adolescence. The search for identity, the desire for acceptance, and the struggle to find one's place in the world. By fostering a deeper understanding of the cultures they are drawn to, and by encouraging genuine self-expression, we can help young people navigate these challenges with greater confidence and integrity. The media, in its various forms, plays a powerful role in shaping our perceptions of the world, influencing our values, beliefs, and even our sense of identity. From the glossy pages of magazines to the endless scroll of social media feeds, we're constantly bombarded with images, narratives, and messages that shape our understanding of ourselves and others. This influence is particularly potent during adolescence, a time when young people are especially susceptible to peer pressure, media messaging, and the desire to fit in. When it comes to hip-hop culture, the media often presents a distorted and incomplete picture, focusing on the most sensationalized aspects of the genre while ignoring its complexity, diversity, and social significance. News outlets tend to focus on the negative, highlighting stories of violence, crime, and controversy associated with hip-hop, perpetuating harmful stereotypes and reinforcing existing biases. Social media, while providing a platform for diverse voices, can also create echo chambers, reinforcing existing beliefs and limiting exposure to alternative perspectives. This distorted portrayal of hip-hop culture can have a profound impact on how suburban kids perceive the genre and the people associated with it. They may come to associate hip-hop with criminality, violence, and misogyny, failing to see the rich history, artistic innovation, and social commentary that are also integral parts of the culture. Section 8. Reclaiming Identity. Finding authenticity on one's own terms. The journey to self-discovery is rarely linear. It's a winding path filled with detours, dead ends, and unexpected revelations. For suburban kids who have been caught in the trap of acting. Hood. Reclaiming their identity requires a willingness to shed the masks they've been wearing, to confront the insecurities that fueled their need for external validation, and to embrace the unique individuals they are, regardless of where they come from or what social circles they inhabit. This process of reclaiming one's identity often begins with a period of introspection, of looking inward and asking difficult questions about why they felt the need to adopt a persona that wasn't their own. It requires honesty, vulnerability, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about themselves and their motivations. It's also a process that requires support, guidance, and understanding from parents, educators, and mentors who can provide a safe space for young people to explore their identities without judgment. Open and honest conversations about race, class, privilege, and cultural appropriation are essential for helping young people develop a more nuanced and informed understanding of themselves and the world around them. Section 9. Bridging the Divide, Building Bridges of Understanding and Empathy. The phenomenon of suburban kids acting hood, while often misconstrued as mere imitation or appropriation, can also be seen as a starting point for dialogue, a catalyst for conversations about race, class, privilege, and the complexities of cultural exchange in a globalized world. Instead of dismissing these young people as inauthentic or disrespectful, we have an opportunity to engage with them, to listen to their stories, and to help them understand the nuances of cultural appropriation and the importance of respectful engagement. Bridging the divide between suburban and urban communities requires a multifaceted approach, one that addresses the systemic inequalities that contribute to these cultural misunderstandings, while also fostering opportunities for genuine connection and dialogue. Educational initiatives that promote cultural competency, media literacy, and critical thinking skills are essential for equipping young people with the tools they need to navigate the complexities of a diverse society. Mentorship programs that connect suburban and urban youth through shared interests such as music, art, or sports can help break down stereotypes and foster understanding between different groups. By creating spaces where young people from diverse backgrounds can interact on an equal footing, we can help them see beyond the superficial differences and recognize the shared humanity that connects us all. Section 1. The Illusion of Real. Deconstructing the myth of the hood. Throughout this exploration, we've grappled with the complexities of identity, authenticity, and the allure of the hood for suburban youth. We've delved into the psychological yearnings, the sociological factors, and the potent influence of media, especially hip-hop culture, in shaping these perceptions and behaviors. But as we conclude this journey, it's crucial to deconstruct the very myth of the hood that fuels this fascination. this yearning for a perceived authenticity that often crumbles under closer scrutiny. The hood, as it's often portrayed in popular culture, is more of a construct than a concrete reality. It's a caricature, a collection of stereotypes and tropes that often obscure the lived experiences of those who inhabit these communities. The danger in romanticizing the hood is that it reduces complex social realities, poverty, systemic racism, violence, to mere aesthetics, stripping them of their nuance and humanity. The gritty allure, the perceived authenticity that draws some suburban kids to emulate this caricature often overlooks the resilience, the creativity, the sense of community that thrive amidst these challenges. It ignores the voices of those who navigate these realities daily, reducing their experiences to a commodity, a source of fascination for those seeking an escape from their own perceived mundanity. Section 2. Beyond Imitation. Navigating the labyrinth of cultural exchange. The conversation about suburban kids acting hood often gets bogged down in accusations of cultural appropriation, and rightfully so. The line between appreciation and appropriation can be perilously thin, and the consequences of crossing it, perpetuating harmful stereotypes, profiting from the cultural expressions of marginalized groups, are significant. But as we move beyond the blame game, we must also acknowledge the potential for genuine cultural exchange, for building bridges of understanding and appreciation across social and geographical divides. The allure of hip-hop for suburban youth, while sometimes manifesting in misguided attempts at imitation, also reflects the power of music, art, and storytelling to transcend boundaries. Hip-hop, at its core, is about connection, about giving voice to the unheard, about challenging the status quo. These themes resonate with young people from all walks of life, regardless of their background or upbringing. The key to navigating the labyrinth of cultural exchange lies in approaching it with humility, respect, and a genuine desire to learn and understand. Section 3. The Search for Self. Embracing the journey, not the destination. The phenomenon of suburban kids acting hood is, at its heart, a reflection of a universal human experience. The search for identity. Adolescence is a time of profound transformation, a period of questioning, exploration, and self-discovery. Young people are trying to figure out who they are, where they fit in, and what they want their lives to look like. It's a messy, confusing, and often exhilarating process, one that can lead them down unexpected paths in search of answers. The danger for suburban kids drawn to the allure of the hood is that they often mistake imitation for self-discovery, external validation for internal fulfillment. They fixate on a destination, being perceived as cool, tough, or authentic, without fully embracing the journey of self-exploration that leads to genuine self-acceptance. The search for identity is not about finding a fixed point, a singular truth that defines who we are. It's an ongoing process of growth, evolution, and self-reflection. Finding your voice. The power of authenticity in a world of conformity. The allure of the hood for some suburban youth stems in part from a rejection of the perceived conformity and superficiality of their surroundings. The suburbs, for all their advantages, can sometimes feel stifling. Their emphasis on homogeneity and material success, leaving little room for individuality or authentic self-expression. Hip-hop culture, with its roots in rebellion, its celebration of individuality, and its raw, unfiltered expression of urban life, can feel like an antidote to this perceived sterility, a space where difference is celebrated and voices that have long been silenced are amplified. The challenge for suburban kids drawn to this rebellious spirit is to channel it in a way that is both authentic and constructive, to find their own voices within the chorus of dissent without resorting to mimicry or appropriation. True rebellion is not about conformity to a different set of rules. It's about questioning the rules themselves, about challenging the status quo, and about using your voice to advocate for change. It's about embracing your individuality, your unique perspective, and your power to make a difference in the world. For suburban kids seeking authenticity, the answer lies not in trying to be someone they're not, but in embracing their own stories, their own experiences, and the unique perspectives they bring to the world. From appropriation to appreciation. Building bridges of understanding. The conversation about cultural appropriation often focuses on what not to do. Don't wear certain clothes. Don't use certain words. Don't mimic certain behaviors. While these guidelines are important for avoiding harmful stereotypes and respecting the cultural expressions of others, they don't fully address the deeper issue of fostering genuine cultural appreciation and understanding. Moving beyond appropriation requires a shift in perspective, from a place of taking to a place of giving, from a focus on outward appearances to a deeper engagement with the values, histories, and experiences that shape cultural expressions. This means approaching other cultures with humility, curiosity, and a genuine desire to learn. It means listening to the voices of those who created and continue to shape these cultures, understanding their historical context, and recognizing the struggles and triumphs that have shaped their evolution. It also means supporting artists, businesses, and organizations within these communities, using our voices to amplify their perspectives, and challenging systems of oppression that perpetuate cultural appropriation and exploitation. The future of identity, embracing complexity in a globalized world. As our world becomes increasingly interconnected, the lines between cultures, identities, and experiences continue to blur. The rise of the internet, social media, and globalized communication has created a landscape where cultural exchange is constant, instantaneous, and often overwhelming. In this complex and ever-evolving landscape, the question of identity takes on new urgency and complexity. The challenge for young people growing up in this world is to navigate this complexity with nuance and sensitivity, to embrace the fluidity of identity without resorting to simplistic binaries or harmful stereotypes. It's about recognizing that identity is not a fixed point but an ongoing process of becoming, shaped by our experiences, our relationships, and our interactions with the world around us. This requires a willingness to embrace ambiguity, to hold multiple truths simultaneously, and to recognize that our understanding of ourselves and others is always evolving. A call to action, moving beyond stereotypes, embracing our shared humanity. This is not just a lofty ideal, but a necessary step towards building a more inclusive and understanding society. In a world where divisions often seem more pronounced than our commonalities, it is crucial to recognize the shared threads that bind us together as human beings. The phenomenon of suburban kids acting hood, while often misconstrued as mere imitation or appropriation, offers a valuable opportunity for reflection, dialogue, and ultimately, growth. It is a complex issue that touches on identity, belonging, and the ways in which young people navigate their social environments. By examining this behavior, we can gain insights into the broader cultural dynamics at play and the ways in which different communities influence one another. It challenges us to confront uncomfortable truths about race, class, privilege, and the ways in which our perceptions of ourselves and others are shaped by media, societal norms, and deeply ingrained biases. The media, in particular, plays a significant role in shaping our understanding of different cultures and communities. By critically analyzing the messages we receive, we can begin to dismantle the stereotypes that often go unquestioned. Instead of resorting to judgment or condemnation, we must approach this phenomenon with empathy, understanding, and a commitment to fostering meaningful dialogue. It is through open and honest conversations that we can begin to bridge the gaps in our understanding and build stronger, more inclusive communities. By listening to the experiences and perspectives of others, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the diversity that enriches our world. We must create spaces where young people feel safe to explore their identities, to ask difficult questions, and to challenge the stereotypes that limit their understanding of themselves and others. These spaces should be inclusive and supportive, providing opportunities for young people to engage in meaningful dialogue and to learn from one another. By fostering a sense of belonging and acceptance, we can help young people develop a more nuanced and empathetic understanding of the world around them. This requires a multifaceted approach, one that addresses the systemic inequalities that perpetuate cultural misunderstandings, while also fostering opportunities for genuine connection and dialogue. It is not enough to simply address the symptoms of these issues. We must also tackle the root causes. This means advocating for policies and practices that promote equity and inclusion, as well as creating spaces for individuals to come together and share their experiences. We need educational initiatives that promote cultural competency, media literacy, and critical thinking skills. Equipping young people with the tools to deconstruct stereotypes and engage with different cultures respectfully. Education is a powerful tool for change, and by incorporating these topics into the curriculum, we can help young people develop the skills they need to navigate an increasingly diverse and interconnected world. Mentorship programs that connect young people from diverse backgrounds, fostering understanding, empathy, and the dismantling of prejudices through shared experiences. These programs can provide valuable opportunities for young people to learn from one another and to develop meaningful relationships with individuals from different backgrounds. By fostering a sense of community and mutual respect, we can help young people develop the skills they need to thrive in a diverse world. Open and honest conversations about race, class, privilege, and cultural appropriation, creating spaces for vulnerability, learning, and growth. These conversations can be challenging, but they are essential for building a more inclusive and understanding society. By creating spaces where individuals feel safe to share their experiences and perspectives, we can begin to break down the barriers that divide us and build stronger, more inclusive communities. The journey towards a more just, equitable, and compassionate world begins with each of us. It is through our individual actions and choices that we can create the change we wish to see in the world. By committing to empathy, understanding, and inclusivity, we can help build a society that values and respects the diversity of its members. It starts with examining our own biases, challenging our preconceived notions, and approaching those who are different from us with curiosity, humility, and a genuine desire to understand. This requires a willingness to be vulnerable and to acknowledge the ways in which our own experiences and perspectives may be limited. By approaching others with an open mind and a willingness to learn, we can begin to build more meaningful and authentic connections. Let us move beyond the limitations of stereotypes, embrace the richness of our shared humanity, and create a world where every individual feels seen, heard, and valued for the unique and beautiful being they are. By celebrating our differences and recognizing the commonalities that unite us, we can build a more inclusive and compassionate society. Together, we can create a world where everyone has the opportunity to thrive and to contribute to the richness of our shared human experience. Please like and subscribe for